and welcome back, and welcome me back, I guess I should say. Um, anyways, I wanted to bring y'all this video because I really had a lot of fun doing this, and it was a little bit overwhelming my senses and putting things together that I never in a million years would have picked. But as you all know, I'm sure, and a lot of you are probably in it, I'm in Mallory Pagnotta's Made by Manny and Mal. I'm in her elite group, and we had this chopped challenge, okay? So as I'm talking, I'm just kind of going through these pieces that I got in my box, right? So I got these 2 pieces of vinyl here, and it was just basically whatever the person chose to send to you. You had to use all of the elements on the tumbler. So she actually sent me a tumbler as well. So made it a little bit more difficult because it was a tapered, there was a lot going on here. I had the fabric and the glitter, and it took me a while to think about how it was going to go, but I think it's pretty cool. This little jar here was in the bottom of the box, and it was a casualty. So it was a lot that I was putting on this thing. So I'm kind of glad that I didn't have to put one more thing of glitter on there. Anyways, so this is it. This is the stuff that I got. And now we're going to get into the video and all of the things that I end up doing in order to complete this full tumbler by using all of the aspects or all of the little materials that you see here. Okay, so let's get started. So I taped this off because I do like to tape off my whenever I'm doing spray paint or painting or anything. It just keeps the paint from going inside, and it really does help a lot with the cleanup afterwards. If you don't do it, it really does cause some issues later on. But anyways, I did do a little bit of sanding on the tumbler as well. I kind of wasn't doing it for a while because I just kind of got, I don't know, thinking that it really didn't matter. But I've actually had a lot more success now that I'm doing it again and I'm sanding and everything. I think that it is a pretty important part of the prepping of the tumbler, but it's just one of those things. You just kind of go through these phases or go through these moments that you're just like, anyways, I'm not going to justify it. But so I did a little sanding there. I took it outside and spray painted it white, just basic spray painted white, let it dry. And then here I am so excited to share this with you guys because I have tried to do the tack it method over and over and over again with the tack it glue, and I have the tack it glue, and I have let it dry, I have heated it dry, I've let it dry, I've done all the things. And I have been seeing people, Mallory, several other people that I've seen that have been doing this where they're putting the Southern Belle glitter foil glue, and they are letting it dry, and I let it dry. Like I was doing other things. I had different cups that I was making and different things that I was doing. So I set it off to dry for an hour, right? And I went and poured the glitter on there after about an hour, and I took a glove and rubbed it all on there, and this was the most successful tacket I have ever done. I was elated by the outcome, by the results. I couldn't believe that it actually worked because I have tried, like I said, tack it many times, and I have failed and failed and failed. So I was very excited about this. And I was mixing epoxy and doing the epoxy thing like immediately, and I did it immediately right after, right? So I had a little bit of the fast set left. As you can tell, I'm really trying to smear it on here because it was curing, because fast set does that. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put it on there right now, because once the glue has dried, but it's not really dry, it's more tacky. And then once you put the glitter on there or the foil or whatever, I mean, it's pretty much done, right? There's nothing else you have to do. So I just went right in with the epoxy and it was great. So this was like life-changing for me. I was very excited. And I'm sure you can use, I just happen to have the Southern Belle glitter. I'm sure you could use the Artistic Painting Studio, any type of foil glue. But I think, I don't know what it is, but I just, the tack I've never been able to make it work. So I was very excited to share this. But anyways, so I did a coat of epoxy here. And then after that, we're going to get into putting all of these things that I got in my box on this tumbler. So it did take me a little bit to figure out what I was going to do, but I really, honestly, like when I first saw the fabric and I saw that other vinyl with the squares, I was pretty much like, okay, we're going to take these squares and we're going to do it that way. I have never done a full wrap of fabric on a tumbler, so I was very intimidated and kind of thinking, I don't want to do that. So I thought, well, here we go. I'll just take these squares off and I'll just put them on there, in the pattern or whatever, however it comes out to be. I really wasn't sure at that point. All I knew is I was going to cut these squares, and and I didn't really think that there was some that were, anyways, when you're looking at something like this with fabric or vinyl or and it's got these, different or a pattern of some sort, I didn't realize that I was doing the square, the triangles at the top there. I was going to do those on the edge of the top and the bottom, that kind of thing. But on the other side of this folded piece of fabric, there was double, where the darker brown, right? It was on both sides of the triangle. And I wish I would have used that, to continue the look of that, both sides of the dark. Anyways, I hope that makes sense. But just kind of take a look around, because see how at the very top over here, they have both of the triangles have the brown. So anyways, that was where I wish I would have gotten those so that they would have matched. But it doesn't matter. It was a chop challenge. It was a challenge for sure. And I did it. So that was the main thing. But anyways, I just wanted to share that with you guys. So here I am trying to, I'm like, okay, so I guess I will do, like okay, this is what I was trying to think. I'm going to do one. Okay, let's just start with how I did it. So I put this wax paper down, and then I did some Mod Podge on there, and then I put the Mod Podge on top of the square, and that was very successful. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, that I did that, and then I would put it on there, line it up the best I could, and then take a little bit of Mod Podge and then put it on the top of that piece of fabric. And that seemed to really keep it in place, do what the Mod Podge is supposed to do, which is, create that barrier and glue it to the thing, but then also creating a barrier on top. So, the epoxy wouldn't go into that fabric or whatever. So this is me like just kind of going through the process of how I was kind of figuring out how the pattern was going to go. I think had it been a straight tumbler, I would have been a little bit more, I got off on my pattern just a little bit as far as like dimension wise, like, kind of was spread out a little bit more. And then once I got around to the other side, I kind of had to squeeze it in. So, maybe if I would have gone over the whole thing at first, but I just kind of jumped right in, kind of thing. But anyways, like I said, this was a challenge, and I did it, so. But anyways, I did, I kind of brought these little square diamonds, I kind of put them as diamonds there, thinking that maybe that might add a little bit more contrast or a little bit more, to the design or whatever. So ended up putting all of these squares going all the way around the tumbler. And then I came back and I took the triangles, the little half size of those squares, and put them on the tops and the bottom, just to kind of fill that out a little bit more. Because I knew in my head that I was going to be covering the rest. I was going to be covering the tumbler with that other vinyl and then the other pieces. So I kind of wanted to make sure there was enough of this fabric showing underneath that there wouldn't be a doubt that I didn't use it, or, that it wasn't on the tumbler. And I was just going to go over with y'all. I know it has been several months since I've done a video, and I apologize for that. It's just been a rough kind of couple of years for me. There's been a lot of loss, and I've had some really rough days, I guess you could say, or whatever. But anyways, I kind of needed to take a break, I think, from just to really figure out, like, did I really want to do this? Do I really want to? I know I want to create, because I always, always, always want to create something sometime, be it sewing or painting or, cups or just designs or whatever it is that I'm doing. My mind has to be functioning like that. But I just got to the point where I was feeling disappointed in myself because I wasn't keeping up with the schedule of, when y'all were expecting to have the video from me and that kind of thing. And I was feeling bad about it because I wasn't able to do it. So I started thinking about it over the holidays, and I took the time off, and I said to myself, don't do that to yourself. Just make sure that what you're putting out is a quality video, something that can really inspire someone, or something that is entertaining. Like, oh my gosh, how in the world could she come up with something with these crazy pieces that she did? Or just as like maybe a series of some kind of thing. Like, each video that I'm going to be putting out in 2024 is going to be more of like an event, right? So after I got done with this, putting all of them on there and putting the Mod Podge underneath and on top, I went back and just did a whole coat of Mod Podge on top, just to make sure that it was completely solid and sealed in there, so that the epoxy wouldn't seep into that fabric. So anyways, back to my sob story, I guess. No, I'm just kidding. But I was just saying, what I want to do is every video that I'm going to put out in 2024, there's not going to be any kind of time frame, or it's going to be coming out on Wednesdays, or it's going to be coming out whenever. It's more going to be that I'm going to either do a series of some kind, or I'm going to be introducing something, or I'm going to be doing something like this, something that's just like a really big, I want to show you how to do all the things, and how you can really think outside the box, or that kind of thing. So I think that's going to be much more important to me in the way that I do art, and the way that I like to do stuff is, it's much more of like, I don't like to just churn out stuff. I don't like to just make stuff to just make stuff. I like to do it for a reason, for a purpose, for a challenge, for a customer, that kind of thing. So I'm hoping that is okay with you guys, and I'm hoping to see you guys more and more. And I will try to get as many videos out as I can, but I'm not going to stress myself. I'm not going to do that to myself anymore. So anyways, back to this. Self-explanatory here. I was kind of taking, like, there are pieces of this design that are kind of overlapping on the squares, and I really didn't think about that until I started cutting it, and I was like, oh man, there's, they've got lightning bolts and flowers and things, and I was trying to cut it where it wasn't that big of a deal, or wasn't taking off too much of this and that. So I really took my time to kind of figure out exactly what I was okay with cutting off, and what I was okay with, cutting in half or whatever the case may be. So it did take me a while because I was just cutting and cutting and cutting and kind of just going through the process. This is me just staring at it going, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to make these little squares, or do I want to cut it more? You know, and that was legit what I sat there and did for probably 4 or 5 minutes, just kind of, okay, I'm okay with this one because this one is not, the design isn't there. And then you know what I mean? Like, this is literally, you know, what I was kind of doing. So, but I knew I wanted to use the squares, and I kind of wanted to make sure they made sense with the design that was on there and they weren't confusing. So anyways, I went through this whole process and cut all of this up, and then I put them on the tumbler. So this was kind of, not difficult. I won't say it was difficult. It just was a little more of, you know, just going, do I want to use all the squares or... Anyways, what I wanted to go over with this real quick was, after I did that coat of Mod Podge, I let that dry maybe 30 minutes or whatever, and I did a coat of epoxy on top of those fabrics. And I didn't do a coat, I didn't do 2 coats, I only did 1, but there was a little bit of bumpiness from the fabric, but I knew that these vinyl pieces were pretty active as far as their design, so I was like, okay, I think it'll be fine if there is a little bit of, you know, underneath. I don't think it's going to show, and it doesn't show anything. So don't feel so, you know, but if this was like a straight solid silver or something like that, I would have definitely put another coat of epoxy on there and got a really smooth surface before I put that on there, because those you would have been able to see. But since there was so much going on with this design, I just kind of was like, I think we can get away with it. So this one was, I guess because it was just a little bit wider, and the way that the cup curved, it just went, it just got a little, you know, funky on the side there. So I just went ahead and said, you know what, we're just going to slice this off. Nobody's ever going to know. And bam. So that's what I did. I was like, no, I'm not going to leave this, this mess on here. So, but anyways, I'm just going to play some music and let you guys just kind of watch me put these on here, just to kind of get an idea of the process of what I did, because it wasn't anything, it wasn't rocket science, I promise. So anyways, here we go.
Like this. Like this. Like this. Like this.
And as you can see there, I'm just covering that whole entire cup with Mod Podge to seal in all of that vinyl. You know, after you just manhandle that, touch it and everything, it's really good to seal it with, you know, some kind of sealer. It doesn't necessarily have to be Mod Podge, but Mod Podge to me is just so easy, and it's so fast and so quick to dry, and it's just easy. But anyways, so I went ahead and I was going to add those, the elements with all those little dots and dashes and different things like that. But they are clear all around, except for the black little marks and things like that. So I could not have put that on there with the cup in the condition that it was in before. I needed to have a beautiful, clear, solid, no markings, no dullness, kind of, finish to the cup in order to put those on and they look appropriate and, shine through the glitter and all of that shines through appropriately. So anyways, I put a coat of epoxy on there, and then once that was done, I went in with the rest of the pieces that we had to put on there. But first, I had to do the decal. So she provided me with a decal. So this was very cool because it was white backed, right? So the image had a white printed back, so I could just put it anywhere I wanted. And on this tumbler, I think that would have been very important, because had I had to add anything more to this, oh my gosh, I think it would have just been really overwhelming. Not that it wasn't already, but it just was like, okay, thank God that is, because I can just slap it on wherever, and I thought that was a good spot for it. So here I am going to, this is so sporadic. I had no, rhyme or reason of why I was putting anything anywhere in particular. I just kind of picked my spots to, I guess where I thought they wouldn't take too much away, but then also maybe add a little something. So, it was a lot. It was a lot of stuff. And I was just thinking to myself, this is going to be so crazy and so over the top. But it just, in my mind, this was the only way that I could utilize all of these, pieces and all the elements for this challenge. But I think it's really cool that Mallory has this group, and that she allows us to kind of go between each other and either do swaps or do the challenge like this. And I think, if you're not in that group, she really does give you a lot of inspiration and a lot of motivation, and it's absolutely worth it. So anyways, I had a lot of fun doing this particular challenge, because I had a lot of fun picking the stuff out to send to my person, and then, just anticipation of waiting for my box to show up and going, what am I going to have to do? And opening it up going, oh my God, what is this? And so I really appreciated the challenge, and kind of got me back into thinking that 2024 is going to be a much more productive year for me. I'm having very good success in the very beginning of 2024. So I'm just, and I'm happy to be here still and celebrating with you guys. So I hope you enjoy the things that I can put out this year, and just let's create. Just art is art. I went to a museum one time, and there was on the wall, and I know it's a famous person, I don't know who it is, and it was just scribbles, just these scribbles and scribbles and scribbles on a chalkboard and on paper. And I was just like, I didn't know that I don't know that I appreciated it as much as some other people probably do. I don't know, or maybe I just didn't understand it. But I do love modern art, and when I go to museums, my husband loves to look at the old timey, beautiful, realistic looking, photographic type of paintings. But I really like modern art. I really think that there's just something to be said for it. And so I enjoy all kinds of art. I can appreciate it for what it is. I do not understand the scribbles, but I'm sure there's something to it. And if somebody explained it to me, maybe I would get it. But anyways, art is art, and you can create whatever you want. And if there's someone there that will appreciate it and buy it or hang it up on a wall or take it out and about in the public and use it, that's all that matters. So anyways, we're going to skip this because obviously this is what I did, right? I just cut them off and stuck them wherever they went, that was the best I could do with all of these things. So the lid was a whole nother thing, right? So I went ahead and sanded the lid, and then I'm going to go ahead and paint the lid white. And I am going to do the same thing that I did for the tumbler, which is paint it white, put the foil glue on there, and do the tack it method on the lid. So it will look hopefully very similar to the tumbler itself. So I waited an hour for this and did the tack it, rubbing it down and everything kind of method. It did not give me the same result, and I don't believe that has anything to do with the process. I think it has to do with the fact that I used paint, and it was like a chalk paint, and it was just a little thicker, I think, whatever. I don't know. I definitely think it had something to do with the conditioning of the lid before, because it wasn't the same type of thing that I did to the tumbler. But anyways, I mean, it's the same glitter. It was the same, shine or whatever. So this is where I get into, I don't do what I did. Okay. Mallory actually has a really cool video where she goes over how she does lids, and she's done a couple of lids, but just recently, I think she did a lid, maybe for Christmas or something. And, how to put them on the turner and to use actual epoxy. I thought using the UV resin would be okay, and it was okay. It just definitely did not give me the results of the clean, epoxy turning and that kind of thing, with that the epoxy leveling and all of that happens when you use the epoxy. It just was maybe too big of a surface, or was just too clunky, or I don't know what it was. But I went ahead and finished it with the UV resin because I was trying to get this out to you guys, and I was just trying to finish this whole thing because it was due like on the 29th or something like that. So I needed to get this done. So I was like, I'm just going to do UV resin and just, call it a day. But I definitely would suggest not doing this with UV resin. Just, if you're going to do it right, and especially if you're going to sell it or give it away, or, anything that if somebody's going to be functioning and using this, you definitely want to make sure that you're doing it the right way, the appropriate way. So, but anyways, I wanted to show you that I did use the UV resin and that, all of this stuff, but it just was pretty rough after a while. So anyways, like I said, do like I say, not like I do. Okay. So this is where I actually threw the fabric away. I think it was like in something, and then it just got kind of swept up and thrown away. So I did not have the fabric anymore. So yeah, I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to use the squares and just kind of make something of it. I thought I could put the squares on there fully, but with that lip on the outside, it just was not working the way that I thought it would. So anyways, I ended up just kind of cutting these little things out and putting them on there just to kind of have that same type of feel for the tumbler as, the lid and that kind of thing. So I just ended up using just these color squares and then adding a few bits and pieces of these, those little dashes and marks and things like that on that darker, on that, the other piece of vinyl. Sorry, I don't know where my mind went there. But yeah, I just kind of chose wherever, just kind of did the same thing that I did on the tumbler and just kind of, added it where I thought it would work. So I ended up putting another coat of UV resin on top of that lid there and finished that off. Like I said, it was not very successful. I would not suggest doing that. Maybe like the first layer to kind of get it started or something, but after that, I would definitely just go the epoxy route and do the sanding and all of that stuff. So I actually was like, yes, I'm done, right? I did it. I got this. I put this together. I can't believe it. I was putting this coat of epoxy on thinking, all right, I'm done. This is it. So then I started showing Mallory the pictures, and then I started to realize I never used Trendsetter and Hello Friends. I never used those glitters, and I thought, where in the heck am I supposed to put these glitters now that I am supposed to use them? So I asked Mallory, and she said, nope, you have to use them. That's part of the rules. So I was like, man. So this is what I came up with. So she said, why don't you put it on the lid? I said, well, I've already done the lid, you know. So I had to come up with a way, and this was my reluctancy of putting these glitters on here, because I really liked, I mean, for what it was and for all the things that I got, I really liked it the way that it looked. But I still had to use the glitters, so I thought this is the best way probably that I can put these glitters and kind of incorporate them into the tumbler. So I put a coat of epoxy on the tumbler, and I just kind of let it spin for a while to get, you know, just leveled out and everything like that. So hopefully it wouldn't have, you know, too much movement or whatever. And then I took the rest of the little bit of epoxy that I had left, and I filled it up with Hello Friends and Trendsetter. And then I just kind of added a little highlight here and there around the tumbler, right? So I thought, well, these are little black spots and they have pink, or, you know, whatever. And that was the best way that I could see to add it. Like I said, I didn't really want to do it, but if I wanted to be entered into the contest and I wanted to play by the rules, she said I had to use all the pieces. So thank goodness that little bottle got dumped out, because I was like, I don't know that I could add anything more to this tumbler. It would have been just over the top. Not that it's not over the top, but it is. But anyway, so I went around and just used the Hello Friends first, and kind of was like deciding on that the Hello Friends was going to go in these particular areas. And then I went to the Trendsetter and decided that that was going to go in these other particular areas to kind of highlight the colors of, you know, whatever colors were in the Trendsetter. So here is where I ended up taking the Trendsetter and just kind of put that on because it's got that teal color, so I thought maybe I'll put it over the teal. And then because there are square glitters, I think it's got Zuri in it, I think, but anyways, it's a peachy olive glitters, but it's got that square glitter, so I thought maybe those little hashtag, you know, kind of looking things, because they're kind of more square, I would put those on there. Anyways, that was my logic, you know what I'm saying? Like, as I'm going, where am I supposed to put all this stuff? And so I ended up kind of putting it on in different places and different spots more than I thought I was going to, but I just, you know, by that point you're like, okay, well, I'm already doing it, and you know, so let's just put it on some more things. So anyways, let's get to the end, right? So I did all of this. I got the box. I added all of the elements that I could possibly add to this thing, and let's see how it ended up. There she is in all of her glory and all of her things and all of her elements. So this was a lot of fun. I couldn't decide whether or not it was 90s or 80s. It looked to me more 80s, but then I think the 90s and 80s kind of rolled together for me, because that was like I was in school and just a lot of things were happening. And so anyways, I feel like it's kind of a combination of 80s and 90s, but there's the sad little lid. I mean, I had to sand the sides of it and try to fit. Anyways, I put a little bit of that stuff on the bottom there just to kind of add it in. But anyways, please like and subscribe and comment down below. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.